So if you've been following our Project Tundra over the past few years, we've built pretty much the ultimate shop truck. So our Tundra is powered by a TRD supercharged engine, makes 504 horsepower of the wheels. We have like some awesome Icon suspension. Also has some stuff by SDHQ, traction bars and stuff, limited slip diff, Vogue wheels, Nito tires. We have a lot of videos on our YouTube channel about it. But there's one thing that's always bugged me about the truck. Like, we haul lots of weight with it. Like, we take go-karts to the track, we take engines to customers, pick up parts, we tow race cars. We do a lot of towing with it. And we use the brakes pretty hard, like especially if you're towing like 10 or 11,000 pounds and coming down the Grapevine, going to Buttonwillow, you can be on the brakes pretty hard. And we have a TRD big brake kit on it, and that is a lot more powerful than the stock brakes, but we still found the TRD brakes to be lacking. The most annoying thing about them is if you use any kind of performance brake pad, the rotors start developing like whoop-de-doos in them, and you start getting really bad pedal shake and really bad shimmy in the steering because the rotors are getting all warped with a funny wear pattern. Now, to prevent that, we've put some really, really non-aggressive pads in there, and then that keeps it from happening in about maybe 20,000 miles. But those pads aren't a very good performance pad, and they fade kind of easy, which negates a lot of the stuff about the big brake kit. So we wanted to cure the brake issues once and for all. So we got some help from Figs Engineering, and I think they build what might be the ultimate brake upgrade for the Tundra. They also do it for just about any other Toyota or Lexus too. So if you have a Toyota or a Lexus, if you have a car, truck, go to Figs Engineering. They have a lot of great solutions for your performance and even daily driving problems over there. But let's get on with the brakes. The main thing I think which is going to cure our braking problem is the Figs Engineering rotor. Now, this is like the biggest rotor we've ever put on anything. It's 410 millimeters by 35. I mean, these things are huge. You could probably stop an armored car with these, and they're pretty heavy. They're two-piece, and they have like an alloy center section, so they're probably still a lot lighter than the stock brake rotor. I haven't weighed it yet, but generally it's about 5 or 6 pounds lighter when you go to a two-piece. Even though it looks huge and gnarly, still lighter than stock. And it's definitely going to be a lot lighter than the TRD rotor, which is almost this big, but it's one piece. The reason why I think it's going to stop our warping and shimmy is the rotor actually floats on the center hat. So when you look, the hardware has room to allow radial float. And what happens is when you use brakes hard, when it's a one-piece rotor, the whole rotor distorts like a cone, and this causes uneven pad wear, poor brake performance, a spongier pedal. It also can cause like a lot of uneven wear to form in the rotor, which I think is what's happening. So I think this floating rotor that lets the rotor move freely to expand, contract, and whatever due to operating conditions is going to prevent a lot of the problems we've been seeing. The Figs guys told me they don't have any problems with the brake pedal going in and out and wheel shimmy either. So we really hope this is going to solve that problem. The rotors are also grooved with some holes. The holes are oval shaped and they're chamfered, which should stop cracking. Like a lot of the traditional drilled rotors crack. We have these same rotors from Figs Engineering in our Project ISF, and we've been running those for 5 or 6 years, no cracking or anything. So I don't think these are going to crack. We also have grooves. So what these vents and the grooves do is when you use the brakes hard, your brake pads vaporize and you have a layer of hot vaporized pad material, and the pad actually hydroplanes on that, and that kind of screws up your brake effectiveness when the brakes are being used real hard. So what these grooves and the holes do is they sweep the brake pad surface and they give the that gas and brake pad particles a place to escape. So you're basically like hitting the rotor with a clean pad surface, and that's going to grip harder and more consistently. The other thing is, like, if you're driving in the water can actually lubricate the rotor and cause some hydroplane of the rotor. So in that case, this gives water a place to escape too, so you get less wet fade. The rotors are zinc plated, and then they're coated with this like a black anti-rust coating. The coating goes all the way inside the rotor. So if you ever had like performance rotors and you wash your wheels or you drive in the rain, all the rusty water comes out of the vents and stains your wheels. You just clean. So I think that these are going to be a lot more resistant to that. But I really look forward to getting these on there. Like that brake shimmy is super annoying, and have to deal with it with new rotors every 20,000 miles or so, and it happens before the pads wear out. And I'm just used to not having to. I'm looking forward to not dealing with that anymore and having awesome brakes all the time. The FIGS engineering kit comes with these 6-piston calipers. The TRD kit is a 6-piston caliper also. But the major difference between the FIGS caliper and the TRD caliper is the FIGS are a radial mount caliper, and the TRD calipers are ear mounted. The advantage of a radial mount caliper is the mounting bolts go straight down into the caliper right here, and use this adapter to bolt it to your hub. So the advantage is that the mounting point of the caliper is really close to the axis of the rotor, so there's less offset torque that could maybe want to flex things this way or to twist the caliper. So if you look at racing motorcycles and racing cars, or really high performance ones, like you look at a Porsche or something, they all, or any super hot bike, they all use radial mount calipers. Get rid of that torsional movement and twist, you actually get a firmer, more consistent brake pedal. It's not like a night and day difference, but it is an improvement. Don't get me wrong, the TRD caliper is a pretty well-built caliper, but these radial mounts should help a little bit. Also, these calipers are hard anodized, so that's going to be corrosion resistant. The powder coat on our TRD calipers is all peeling and it looks like crap. I mean, they've been on the car for years and years, but these are always going to look good. The hard anodizing gives like a really hard corrosion resistant layer that's actually harder than the aluminum underneath it. Some other cool things is these calipers have seals, dust seals. Like a lot of race calipers don't have dust seals, so that stuff can get in and eat up your seal and cause air to get in and a spongy pedal, but these have seals. The TRD calipers do also, but a lot of race calipers don't. These have seals. These actually have vented pistons to keep the heat out of the caliper. That's one advantage they have over the TRD caliper. The body is forged aluminum for strength and lightness. There's stainless steel abutments to prevent the pad from digging into the caliper body and to cause sticking. The TRD caliper also has that. This also has like a tension spring to put tension on the pads so they don't rattle around and make noise. The TRD caliper has a similar tensioner. The This caliper has a bridge bolt to keep the caliper from spreading when you brake really hard. The TRD also has a similar feature, but basically it has the same quality features that the TRD caliper has with its OEM engineering, but it also has the advantage of the harder, more corrosion-resistant finish and the radial mount. So hopefully these two things are going to solve our front brake issues. In the rear, we're not doing anything too crazy. 80% of your braking is done by the front wheels, but we are upgrading the rear slightly. So we're using an EBC rotor. This is basically the same size as a stock rotor. It has a black corrosion-resistant finish over some chromate. Should be pretty resistant to rusting. It's also grooved and dimpled. So this kind of gives the look of a drilled rotor, but without the risk of cracking. And the dimples will provide the same function as drilling all the way through, basically. So, it's like a minor upgrade. Mostly I got it because it looks cool, but it does have some function because the dimples and the slots will have the same function as the front brakes. For the rear pads, I'm using EVC yellows. Now these aren't a race compound. They're kind of like a high performance, long life street compound that doesn't make crazy dust. Like this isn't a race truck, so it just needs good pads that are going to last a while. One thing cool about EVCs is they have this break-in compound. It's kind of like a sandpaper. So when you put these on, these will refinish your rotors and give the friction material a fresh surface to bite in without having to necessarily turn your rotors every time. It's kind of a cool, unique feature to EVC, and I think these things are going to do pretty good on our daily driving, towing, hard-working Tundra. The last thing is the Fig Speed kit comes with braided steel lines. So these help your brake feel by not expanding. Your stock rubber lines, when you step on the brakes, they tend to swell, which makes your pedal more mushy. These are Teflon lined with a hard stainless outer sheath. So this won't expand with your fluid pressure, so it gives you a more direct pedal feel. These are also DOT approved. That's what these plastic sleeves at the end are. It's to help pass the whip test. DOT approval is always good. So basically, that's our brake upgrade in just a short description. I hope this is going to make our Tundra a lot more pleasant to drive, and it's going to help us stop even when we're towing. Sometimes we have a lot of weight. You get your crew, your race car, your trailer, all your spares, and all your tools. That could be, 15, 16,000 pounds of stuff. And, being a half-ton truck, it needs all the help you can give it, especially when it's 500 horsepower. So, like we're running out of stuff to do to our Tundra. It's a really cool truck. It's the first truck I ever owned that I actually like driving. So it's a tool. It's also, fun to drive. It feels like a sports car. So we got the brake kit installed on our truck, and I have a few installation notes and some driving things. First off, the TRD calipers have a 12 by 175 bolt, so the thread pitch is a lot coarser than your OEM calipers. So if you're going to this kit from a TRD kit, be sure to get you some OEM bolts from the dealership. As far as how this thing works, it's pretty incredible. Like the TRD brakes aren't too shabby, but these brakes are a whole nother thing. I mean, you would never be hurting for brakes on this again. And it's hard to believe it's a truck, not like a sports car. Some of the main differences that we noted after we installed the system is, one, the new Figs brakes are 4 pounds per side lighter than the TRD brakes. Most of the weight difference is in the aluminum hat of the center rotor. The other thing that probably has the biggest impact on performance is the annulus of the brake rotor is a lot wider on the FIGS rotor versus the TRD, and the pads are a lot taller. So in the racing world, we call that pad volume. Well, so the FIGS kit has way more pad volume and way more swept area than the TRD one does. What this means, pad volume mostly has an effect on system wear. So the FIGS kit is going to wear a lot longer. Also, the increase in swept area spreads out the thermal load of stopping over a much wider area. This means that there's more area to disperse the heat, and less of the rotor is loaded up with heat. The rear brakes with the EBC stuff was perfectly fine. The front and rear brakes, they work excellent. Not a single squeak, rattle, clunk, or anything, which is pretty unusual for performance brakes. The pedal feels amazing. Like, the pedal is firm, no over travel. You know, like, you can stop the car with just a very little amount of effort. The feel is great, good release. A lot of this is attributed probably to the radial mount caliper with less torsional twist. I mean, it feels like an expensive sports car brake system. You know, we did some tests from higher speeds, and the proportioning is pretty good. Like, the ABS system works normally. Went around some turns, the stability system seems to work normally. So that means our piston sizes are compatible and the kit's pretty well engineered. So I would say if you want to really upgrade your brakes, the FIGS engineering system is the way to go. FIGS makes kits for all the Toyota trucks and SUVs. Also for a lot of Toyota and Lexus cars that they don't have kits anywhere else in the market. So 2 thumbs up. I think I really recommend this, and really stoked I got these brakes. It's too early to tell if it's going to solve the warping issue, but I'm pretty sure it's going to. So if you like this content, be sure to subscribe, and you know, if you like our merch, go to our web store. We also sell parts. All the proceeds from our web store helps fund our video stuff. So I hope to see you next time. Stay tuned.